Hello again. It's time for week 3. So this past week hasn't been too eventful. I mean, in comparison to the first 2 weeks, not as eventful. But I'm still going to share with everybody what has happened this week in the crazy Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial. So let's do this. So Monday, I was finally able to go back into the courtroom, theoretically. I got to the courthouse at the same time that I always do, 7 a.m., same time I'd been getting there. But unfortunately, since Johnny was still testifying, there was a ridiculous amount of people there. I did not get a wristband to go into the actual courtroom. I got a wristband for the overflow courtroom. It's fine. I was still in the overflow courtroom. I still got to sit with people and react to it with them, and it was fine. It was very chill in there. There was just one sheriff sitting there to make sure we weren't doing anything illegal, but other than that, we're allowed to laugh at things and chat amongst ourselves, and it was quite nice still. But before we get into the details of all that, let's start with the morning. So I decided, since I wasn't going to be in the actual courtroom, that I was going to wave to Johnny as he arrived in the morning. So I stood outside the gate, and a lot of other people had the same idea. I think this video kind of speaks for itself.
It's him, it's him. We gotta go.
Yeah, so people thought that it would be an excellent time, because the car has to stop while they open the gate, to give him presents and try to grab him. The other thing I want to mention is the fact that someone behind me was actually an autograph dealer, and when I said to them, he can't sign autographs, she very rudely said to me, well, we're not on court grounds. I'm like, but he's in the car, like he's not gonna be able to sign that. But we're not on court grounds. Do you have a photo of Johnny Depp? No, do you have a photo of Johnny Depp? And I was like, bitch, get a real job. To me, that is so disgusting. Like, in whatever situation. Why do these people feel the need to stalk celebrities just to sell their signatures on the internet? Get a job. That's fucked up. These people are human beings. Please leave them alone. They're just as bad as paparazzi. Maybe I just have a personal grudge against autograph dealers because they're the reason that J.K. Rowling did not sign my book 4 years ago. I was just like, honey, he's going in right now to talk about his story of abuse, and you are trying to get his autograph as he's driving by? What is wrong with you? And this bitch had a bracelet for the courtroom. Give me your bracelet, because you obviously are here for very wrong reasons. Why are you here? Anyway, besides that though, there were some older people there. One guy handed him a $2 bill, which apparently is a good luck symbol. Some other lady just grabbed onto his arm. I get it. Like, you want to hold his hand, and you're probably never gonna get this opportunity again, but that's really dangerous for you, for him, for everyone involved. Please don't do that. But the problem was the car was in between the crowd and the sheriffs. They didn't think this through very well, I don't think. Sheriffs couldn't stop people from doing anything. Watching that, I was kind of like, well, if Johnny actually grabs things that people hand him as he, stops before the gate opens, maybe I could give him something. I did make him a bracelet. It's in an envelope. I've been trying to figure out like a way to give it to him. I'm gonna try at some point this week to just hand it to him as he's driving by. Problem is, I get very, very nervous. When he waves to me even, I kind of freeze. I don't know what to do. Like, it's so much emotion in that, like, the idea of him really even remembering my existence is exciting, but it's terrifying. It's terrifying. So I'm gonna make an attempt to do that. I know people can be quite critical of the fact that anybody's giving him any present, but I think he appreciates it. And I'm not doing it for selfish reasons. I'm doing it because the purpose of what I made him, the symbolism of it, is an expression of the fact that there's people that will always be standing behind him. And I think that, you know, when you're going through something like this, it's important to remember that. And he's taking gifts from other people, so I know it's not against the rules. Because if it was against the rules, he wouldn't be taking things from other people. So at some point before the end of this, I will give it to him. I will. I got 12 more opportunities. I will give it to him. Anyway, so Johnny finished up his testimony on Monday. The redirection at the end, the whole time I was like, yes, 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 yes. And the thing at the very end that just got to me was the last question they asked him was in this audio when Amber says, "Tell the world, Johnny, that you're a victim and see who believes you. What did you say to her?" And he said, "Yes, I am." And then they're like, "All right, that's it. No further questions." I wanted to just sit there and start like clapping because that was just such a powerful moment. I know they probably did that intentionally because it was such a powerful moment. Like, he told everything, got his entire story out there, and finally he was able to conclude. It was like just a concluding statement. Yes, I am a victim of domestic violence. And for him to finally be able to say that publicly to the world for other survivors, that is just incredible. That is so powerful. And also the fact that he was able to heal enough to be able to finally say that with complete certainty and confidence is just amazing. And I'm very proud of him for doing that. I really, really hope he knows that him doing this means so much to abuse victims. And I keep repeating that to all the media there that keep asking me for a statement, and they take note of it or they record me saying it, and then for some reason it's mysteriously absent when my statement appears in these newspapers. The media is trying to promote this idea that we are just there because we think Johnny's hot and we're just a bunch of fangirls and we just want to, you know, sit in a room with Johnny Depp and gush over him for 6 hours. No. I'm telling you that is not why anybody's there. Well, I think there's like one person that's there for that reason, but besides her, is not why anybody is there. This idea that the media is trying to promote, it's to make Johnny look bad. So that's why I keep telling them, that's not why we're here. And you can keep saying that as much as you want, but that's not the truth. And I really hope that Johnny knows that the people sitting behind him in that courtroom, most of them are victims themselves or know people who are victims. That is why we're there. I really hope he knows that. And I really hope that he knows that him getting up on that stand and telling his story and making his voice heard, it means so much to every single survivor who is watching this. Does that make sense? So Johnny was done with his testimony. And now this weight has been lifted off him. But it's not done yet because Amber hasn't testified. And I think that's gonna probably be the hardest moment. Because with Johnny, he can say whatever he wants. He has the moment, and Amber cannot shut him up. That was like the first time he was able to talk and express everything that happened to him, and Amber could not shut him up. Next week, Amber is gonna probably testify, and he can't shut her up. And the way that the courtroom is laid out is that the witness box is like directly in front of Johnny. So that is going to be awful for him. I just hope that he knows that every person sitting behind him knows how awful it is, and we are there for him, and he's just reminded of that. And I hope he brings all of his coloring tools to just sit there and doodle the entire time, because he doesn't need to listen to that. He doesn't need to pay attention to it. There's no need for that at all. And hopefully I can get in there when Amber testifies. So after Johnny was done with his testimony, I think the next person was Ben King. I did not pay attention to anything that happened. I left actually and sat in the hallway and find like little specific moments from Johnny's testimony and to post them and like talk about them, because I couldn't do that while I was sitting in the actual courtroom because we can't use our phones. And then I left and I went to go wave to him as he left that day, which was wild. These people keep bringing alpacas because Johnny said in, I think, a witness statement or an interview or somewhere that he would not return to Disney even if they gave him 1,000,000 alpacas. So they keep bringing alpacas. And they're very cute. They're very small. And they just sit in the grass and eat. They chew on the grass and they just sit there. And they're very cute. And I think somehow Johnny was made aware that there were alpacas there because he did say it while he was leaving court one day.
It's alpaca day.
So I think he knows, which I think is excellent. There were so many people back there on Monday, but I still had my little moment to break away from the crowd and wave to him. And it's always a fun time, and it's my highlight of every single day, and it's just making me so happy. He really doesn't have to do that, but he keeps doing it every single day, and it's very touching, and it just makes me so happy that he does that every day. And then afterwards, I decided to pet the alpacas because when someone brings alpacas, you gotta pet them. Like, it's just necessary. And then, you know, the next person to leave, obviously, is Amber. So she gets out, and everybody starts booing and screaming things at her. It's funny, but you guys gotta realize that she really likes that. Even if it's negative, she wants the attention because she can then go and say to the media, to whoever, that she feels threatened by these fans and that she's this poor innocent victim and she's being attacked for coming out about her story of domestic violence. So if you're standing there screaming things at her, she can use that to her advantage. I would say just pretend she doesn't exist. She walks in that courtroom every day. I look over because, you know, someone new's walking in, so I look over, see her, go, okay, and just ignore her. Occasionally I'll glance over in her direction because I like to see her reactions to things, but other than that, I don't engage. I don't even really look at her. I don't care that she's there. So I would recommend, if you plan on going to this courthouse and seeing Johnny leave, either leave before Amber leaves, or if you don't, just ignore her. Like, literally just turn your back to her because she wants this attention. She wants people to have a reaction to her, no matter what it is. So just don't give her a reaction. Anyway, so it was Monday. So then on Tuesday, I woke up at 6 a.m. again, as I always do, and despite knowing the fact that there would probably be a lot less people there because Johnny was no longer on the stand, I was like, is it worth it though? Is it really worth it? I was so exhausted. I could not stay awake at all. Like, I was just like, if I go to court right now, I'm gonna fall asleep in there. I'm so tired. So I went back to bed. I didn't really watch anything that day, but I think that was the day that the psychologist testified. And let me just say, first of all, a queen. A queen. I don't think anybody watching that could hate that woman. She was the most intelligent person in that room, the prettiest person in that room, and oh my god, when Elaine tried to crack her, was it hilarious. Like, why is she talking about muffins? What are you trying to prove here? I don't understand the point of that. It was so funny, but at the same time, like, her saying Amber has borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder, like, that's very important to note. Borderline personality disorder is not something that would make somebody abusive necessarily. That is more of a self-hatred kind of thing that tends to develop from childhood abuse, or you can be born with it. I'm just laughing at the fact that Amber might try to start blaming Johnny for the fact that she's being diagnosed with these personality disorders, which, no, personality disorders are not something that you develop once you're a full-grown adult. That's literally the definition of a personality disorder. It's something you have your whole life. So she can try to blame Johnny for these diagnoses, but it's not possible. Johnny did not cause you to have these disorders. Anyway, as I was saying though, borderline personality is definitely like a more self-hatred disorder. Histrionic personality disorder is extreme narcissism. So that one makes more sense to me as like a reason why she is so aggressive, because people with BPD aren't really aggressive. They aren't. They're not violent people. They don't berate people constantly. That's just not something they do. But someone with extreme narcissism might do that. I'm not saying if you have histrionic personality disorder or narcissistic personality disorder that you are abusive, but people who are abusive tend to have these kind of disorders, but one does not automatically equal the other. I want to make that very clear, because Amber being diagnosed with these disorders is going to increase stigma for them, and that is not something that we should do. But it is important that she's been diagnosed with these disorders because it explains her way of thinking and why she acts the way she does. It was also very important to note that the psychiatrist said that she was faking PTSD. Now, as someone with a trauma disorder, it was very easy to tell that Amber was faking PTSD when I read her claim to have all these symptoms. She didn't say that she had PTSD when she was listing all these symptoms. In a court document somewhere, she was listing all these symptoms that Johnny apparently caused for her, and they were all symptoms of PTSD, and I immediately knew that, and I literally just Googled symptoms of PTSD, and the exact same list came up. She went on Google, Googled symptoms of PTSD, and wrote down the list, and left out like one or two that was like anger or anything that was negative. For example, having an anxiety attack does not make people upset with you, but if you are lashing out in anger, that's going to make people upset with you. Anything that PTSD causes that is a negative trait in people, she didn't put on the list. So she has PTSD, but it's not causing any of the negative symptoms, which doesn't make any sense at all. So I knew immediately when I read that she was pretending to have PTSD. Johnny has trauma. He didn't even say that he had trauma. He didn't sit there on a stand and go, yeah, I have nightmares and flashbacks and all this other stuff because of Amber. He didn't do that. But his reactions to things, he has trauma. And there was like a video that I found on TikTok of him showing up like during the first week, and he sees Amber's car pulling in, and you hear this fear in his voice, and he just starts saying, when do we go in? When do we go in? When do we go in? Because the sight of her car pulling in put him into fight or flight mode. That's trauma. That is real trauma. That is what it looks like, even 6 years later. So Amber sitting here claiming to have PTSD is bullshit, and I could have told you that. But to have a psychologist confirm that and say that, you know, we did a very thorough test and asked her questions, because people can lie about this stuff if they just Google the symptoms. So we asked her specific questions that you wouldn't know if you just Googled the symptoms that people with PTSD would display, and she couldn't answer any of the questions. Like, she wasn't experiencing any of that. So that's how she could tell she was faking PTSD. So after all that though, on Tuesday, I went back to the court, waved to Johnny again. There wasn't as many people there. It was kind of cold and rainy, so obviously people aren't going to go and stand behind a courthouse and wave because it was raining. Thing was though, on Tuesday actually, Johnny turned the other direction, so he didn't drive down the street and wave to all of us, but I think he knew he was going to turn the other direction, because when he came out, he very intentionally like stood there for like a solid 20 seconds and just waved at all of us next to his car, and then he like stood up on the car and waved. I didn't record the whole thing of him waving because I hit stop and ran across the street to wave to him as he drove by, but then he never drove by. He turned the other direction, and it was very sad. I don't expect him to do that every day, and he probably had to go somewhere else. And the other explanation for it might be that Amber left immediately after him, like within like 30 seconds after him, she left. But actually on Tuesday, nobody booed Amber when she came out because there weren't that many people there, so there weren't people booing her, and it was quite nice. It was just, she was just ignored, and that's what I'm saying. She just needs to be ignored. So yeah, Johnny turned the other direction, but he did wave to us, and it was very sweet, and it's like the cutest video of him like peering around the car and like going like this, and it was just, I was so happy about that. It's just so fun every day to get to wave to him.
I love you, Johnny!
So Wednesday, I once again woke up and was absolutely exhausted and had a headache, so I didn't go in on Wednesday either. Wednesday, I think, was all video testimony. I didn't really pay attention to what was going on because, like I've said, I don't need to watch every single person testify. I think Wednesday was the day that Alejandro Ramirez? Is that his last name? I don't know. Starts with an R. But like the concierge at Johnny's apartment building, he testified. And can I just say, iconic. Absolutely iconic. Vaping in the car and then driving off at the end was just the most iconic way to give a testimony for this. He was done with his shit. He wanted to move on with his life. He didn't want to be involved. And, iconic. We stan. Everybody loves him. Except maybe the judge. She seemed a bit done by the end of that. But other than that, there wasn't really too much happening on Wednesday. I did, of course, go to the courthouse with Johnny as he left again. He drove by us this time. Some people next to me tried to hand him a gift as he drove by. And I was just kind of like, he's not gonna grab that. He's not gonna grab it. I told him he's gonna go too fast. You're not gonna be able to give that to him. Please stop trying to give him stuff. They tried anyway. And he didn't grab it because he was driving too fast, like I said to them. But yeah, other than that, nothing really happened on Wednesday. The crowd was bigger than Tuesday, but it was nothing compared to Thursday. So Thursday, I woke up and I got to the courthouse at 7:10. I actually went. I was like, I will get back in that courtroom. It's been 2 weeks now since I was last in there. Today, I will get in. So I got there and I was the 100th wristband. There's only 100 wristbands and I was number 100. See? 100. I was the last person to get in and there were 2 people behind me and I felt so bad because I think they could squeeze 2 more people into that room. There was definitely more space, but they said that the fire rules for the building is they can't have more than 100 spectators in that room. So they can only give out 100 wristbands, which I'm calling bullshit on that. So I was the last person to get in and I felt really bad for the 2 people behind me, but I got in and I could sit in the courtroom again. And obviously I didn't get the best seat in the house because the room was full. And so I sat in the first row of the public where they could sit, but like all the way on the end. So I wasn't really close to Johnny at all. I was much closer to Amber. And the problem with that was even though I could very clearly see Johnny, he was on the other side of the room. And for some reason when he walked in, people have started waving to him. And I thought that was very much not allowed, but people keep doing it and he waves back. Not obviously like standing up and cheering and like hi and like stuff like that, but like they just do a little like wave and he waves back. And so I was sitting on the other side of the room and I see all these people do that and I'm like, sitting on the wrong side, aren't I? He doesn't look over on Amber's side, even though all the people on Amber's side are his supporters too, and I feel like he knows that. He doesn't look over there because Amber's over there. It's probably for the best though, because if he were to actually wave to me like that in that room when he's not wearing sunglasses and I would know he was looking directly at me, I would probably burst into flames. So it's probably for the best that I'm not doing that or attempting to do that. Waving to him as he leaves every day, that's good enough for me. I don't need to wave to him in the courtroom. I still don't get why people are suddenly able to do that though. It's just weird. Anyway, after lunch, someone actually who had gotten there like super early and had like a really good seat that I'm friends with, she was leaving early to go to Vegas, so I took her seat. And I was in the second row on Johnny's side. I was very close to the wall, so I wasn't on camera still. I wasn't on camera on the other side either. From the angle I was sitting at now, I was like sitting like, here's Johnny, here's me, and I could just see him so well and really close. Like it was closer to him than I'd been the entire time. And it was very strange because when he's sitting with his back to me, my brain doesn't really register the fact that that's actually him. And because, you know, he has a suit on, can't see his face. So I can't see any sort of like defining features that would indicate to me that yes, that's actually Johnny Depp. But when he like scratches the back of his head and I'll see like the tattoos on his hand, or like he gets up and like turns and I see his face. From Amber's side, it's hard to see his face Clearly, it's hard for my brain to even register that it's his face from that side of the room, but when you're that close and you see his face and you kind of just have this moment of like, every single time he would look to the side, it was just kind of like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So that was nice. And I'm gonna try to maybe sit there again, but I don't know. Because that's the group of people that get there at like 3 in the morning, and I'm not getting there at 3 in the morning. It's not happening. Maybe the last day. Maybe the last day I'll go at 3 in the morning, but I'm not going there at 3 in the morning on some random day. It's not happening. There's no need for me to do that. So yeah, sitting where I was in the afternoon was nice because I was sitting with people that I'd become friends with. The only annoying part was when Malcolm testified. We all love Malcolm, come on. He is just amazing. And it was funny because Johnny's security team was actually sitting right in front of us. They have to now, because of Eve Barlow, they can't sit in the first row anymore. They have to sit in the third row. So they were sitting right in front of us, and it was funny because I think they have like inside jokes with Malcolm because Malcolm's also part of the security team. So when Malcolm would mention like, yeah, we went to Hicksville, and like Johnny's security guards would just start laughing because I think they like have some sort of joke of something that might have happened in Hicksville. And so that was kind of fun. But the most annoying thing though was the fact that Malcolm has a very thick Scottish accent. I can understand his accent because I lived in the UK and I can understand that accent fairly well. But this family sitting behind me, it was like a mother and like a couple of her daughters who, it was their first day there. They had brought gifts. They wanted to wave to Johnny, just talking about like, okay, what's the plan? When are we gonna leave? When are we gonna do this? The whole time they were just complaining about how they couldn't understand his accent. So I was trying to listen to this, and I just hear behind me, I can't understand him. I can't understand him. What's he say? I can't understand him. And I'm just like, could you shut up, please? We get it. You don't speak Scottish. If you don't like it, get out. I feel like people are going to this thinking that it's gonna be some sort of entertaining event. It's not really that entertaining. It can get very, very boring. Like, I've been doodling, it's washed off mostly, but I've been doodling on my arms because it can get so boring. Like, some of it's just boring, and so if you're there for an entertaining time, you're not gonna find it. You should leave. So I left actually 10 minutes early to once again wait to Johnny as he left on Thursday. And I had the perfect idea to stay next to the gate where his car pulls out, because the driver does tend to slow down because it is technically an intersection. So despite the fact that the police block the road off as he leaves, he still slows down just to make sure and kind of stops for like a second. So I was gonna stand right there to have a very proper moment where Johnny will stop in front of me and I wave to him. So that was my plan. So I left 10 minutes early. In fact, the perfect moment that I got left was when the lawyer was asking Starling Jenkins, who drove Amber to Coachella, like, did you know that Whitney was pregnant and was actually the one throwing up because she was pregnant? And I just stood up and I was like, I am so done with this. Because, like, that is the most ridiculous shit. Like, Amber can't throw up now. She's so perfect that she doesn't throw up. That's what you're telling me? Her throwing up does not prove she's abusive. I know she's trying to say that Johnny throwing up somehow proves that he's abusive. But, like, her throwing up at Coachella doesn't prove anything. Like, why is that a problem? Why do you have to now start twisting this narrative and coming up with some sort of ridiculous story that her sister was pregnant for 3 years because she didn't have kids till 2019, I think. 2018 or 2019, but Coachella was 2016 anyway, so yeah, her sister was pregnant for several years and threw up at Coachella. I'd heard this claim in the UK already, and it was just so ridiculous, so I just got up, walked out of the room, and went outside and stood behind the building to wave to him. As I got outside, there was a mob. There was a huge crowd. I didn't take a picture of it because I just was like, this is so insane. There was a huge screaming crowd of people there, and they all had signs and flags, which I think is great, and I think it's great to show him support, but it got dangerous because when Johnny's car drove past this mob of people, they all started running in the street to grab onto him as he drove by and touch his hand. Like, first of all, Is he the Pope now? Like, why are we all obsessed with trying to touch his hand? Second, that's extremely dangerous. He's driving by in a huge SUV and you're trying to grab onto his arm. It doesn't matter where this is. It can be a movie premiere, it can be a concert. Why are you grabbing onto his arm when he's driving by? You could injure him and you could injure yourself. The car can drive over your foot. You know, you could fall on the road. You could pull his arm and hurt him. Don't do that. Please don't do that with anybody, no matter where you are. That's so dangerous. And these people were running out trying to grab his arm, and the cops were behind them on a motorcycle, and they kept honking to get them out of the road. And these cops kept threatening us that if you run the road, they'll write you up. They didn't write anybody up. Nobody was written up. Everybody just got away with it. So in terms of me having my moment to stop and wave to Johnny, did that happen? No, because there was a group of people already standing by the gate, all wanting to give him gifts, because they all had this idea too. The car's gonna slow down here, we'll just all hand him gifts. Now the issue with that is, when 10 people try to give you something at the same time, you're not gonna grab anything. One person, I think, just threw their gift in the car, which is why I was laughing, because he kind of made this like, noise. But he tried to like grab some people's stuff and wasn't able to, because so many people were just hounding him and the car just started driving away and people were trying to grab his hand as they were. And I was like, this is not going to work. If I am going to ever attempt to hand him something as he stops for a brief second in the car, I'm gonna do it when there's no one there. Because when there's tons of people there, nothing's gonna happen. There's too much happening at the same time. So that was a complete failure, and I don't even think he noticed I was standing there. But that's fine. That's fine. It is what it is. As I film this, it is Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday. I'm going back for another week. I gotta get up. It's actually nighttime right now, and I gotta get up in a couple hours. I don't get why they're handing the wristbands out at 7 a.m. Like, the court doesn't start until 10. The doors don't even open till 9:30. Why are you handing the bracelets out so freaking early? Like, it's so dumb. And these people are crazy, getting there at like 3 in the morning. Why? Like, I get there at 7 and I get the same seats as them. It's not really that necessary. The last thing I just want to say is I've been getting tons of messages and DMs from people saying, I want to go see Johnny at some point during this. How do you do it? How do you get in the courtroom? So here's what I'm going to say to every single person. Just say this right now. If you want to go there and you want to see Johnny and you want to sit in the courtroom, get there in the morning as early as humanly possible. And you're going to be outside in the cold probably, because it's still quite cold in the mornings. And you have to wait. You have to get a wristband. Bring your ID with you, because if you don't have ID, you're not getting a wristband. Thank you, Eve, for that. She's also the reason we now have to show ID. Please note the fact that, you know, once you're in the room and you see Johnny and you adjust to the fact that you're sitting in the same room as Johnny Depp, it's gonna get really boring. To snap myself out of the absolute boredom out of all this, you know, I do look at Johnny and then try to like sit there and just think about the fact that I'm sitting in the same room as Johnny Depp, because I get bored very easily. So if you're not someone who likes to just sit there and listen to people talk on a TV all day, you're gonna get bored. I would recommend, honestly, if you just want to casually go there and see Johnny Depp, just stand outside the back gate at the end of the day and wave to him. You don't need to get up at 3 in the morning and get a wristband. So that's just what I would recommend doing. And please, do not bring him gifts. Do not do anything like that. People have been showing up with bouquets of flowers and gift bags and presents, and I'm like, who are you gonna give that to? Like, you can't interact with him. You spent money on something, you're never gonna be able to give him these flowers. They're gonna die, like, in a couple days. So if you don't give them to him today, you're never gonna be able to give it to him, and you can't give it to him. So why are you doing this? Don't bring him gifts. If it's like a letter or like something in an envelope that you could just hand to him as he drives away, or just, you know, hand to like maybe one of his like friends or bodyguards that are sitting there, sure. But don't come in with a freaking bouquet of flowers, because you're not going to be able to give it to him. And of course, do not run into the street when he drives by. Stop grabbing at his arm. You're going to hurt him or yourself. We don't want people getting hurt. I understand you're excited to see him. It's a great time, but please don't do that. It makes us all look crazy. And the whole point of this is to prove that we are not just a bunch of crazy fangirls. We are here to support an abuse victim. That is the point. So if you keep acting insane and chasing him down the street and grabbing onto him as he drives by and trying to throw presents in his car and stuff, you look crazy. You look crazy. You're turning this into a circus. It's not a circus. You could ruin it for the rest of us who are here the entire 6 weeks and are here to support him the whole time. And if you continue to turn this into a circus, they just might ban people from showing up altogether. So don't do that. Please. Just be mature, stand there and nicely wave to him. It's equally as exciting. You don't need to grab onto his car. Okay, so that's my tips if you want to show up. But that's enough for me. I'm gonna go to bed now and get up and do this all again. And yes, I know I'm always like a week late posting these videos, but I'm really busy. It's a busy time, and I'm so thankful to all of the Jesus and gods out there that we have a week off, because I'm going to go back to New York and sleep with my cat for a week. It's gonna be great. I'm so happy about that. Alright, subscribe if you want to. If you want some updates from me about the last 3 weeks. Can't believe we're halfway there. Yeah, subscribe if you want. Follow me on social media if you want. You don't have to. That's all I gotta say. So, that was week 3. As always, justice for Johnny Depp.